Well, welcome to MovieStrange. Here we are. Hey guys, how's it going? Do you have a good week?
Hello.
It was excellent.
Excellent week. All right. We have a little announcement to make. Al is going to join us bi-weekly starting next episode. So Drew will be bringing the 2x4s, and there'll be a little less major culty from Uncle Al, I can honestly say. I think there'll be, Drew's have been finding weird films and strange films, which is great. Fits the narrative anyway. So Al, we look forward to you bringing the meat for your bi-weekly appearance.
I will always bring the meat.
Okay, so I guess we'll have to work out.
Dr. Caligari 2.
We'll have to work out how you get those words to me, so I pick the film. Okay, but that's all details. That's all inside baseball. We don't have to talk about that right now. But let's talk about the 8 words I had from last week. Here they were: addiction, New York City brains, alien, twins murder, New York City surgeon, and I picked this one.
Yes,
this was an Uncle Al joint. Al, what was the film?
You picked Frank Henenlauter's Basket Case.
Nice.
That's what I picked. That's for sure.
An excellent little film from the 80s.
Yes, Tell us a little about this film.
Yes, it is.
Well, let's see. It was shot on, I think the budget was $33,000, and it was shot over the course of a year. And I think you'll get a little taste of it when we roll into the trailer, but it is a very low-budget horror film that I think does justice to the genre.
All right, well, here's the trailer.
What is the secret Dwayne is hiding in the basket?
What's in the basket? Easter eggs?
What's in the basket?
Clothes. What's in the basket?
Nothing.
What's in the basket?
My brother.
What's in the basket?
Open it, if you dare. Basket case.
Hey, what's in the basket?
What's in the box?
What's in the basket? What?
What's in the basket? It's his formerly conjoined twin, who is a little monster.
Oh, spoiler alert! Hang on.
Yeah.
What year did this movie come out?
I'm gonna say 86, but
86.
what do I know?
Yeah. So I guess we can spoil this film. I've had this in my collection forever, and until the words popped up and I had to watch this, I had never seen it. So why don't you give a brief description of what happens in this film?
Sure. So it's a tale of two brothers who venture to the big city in New York City. One is a normal-looking dude. Another is a little monster in a wicker basket that Dwayne carries around. And their goal is to seek revenge on the doctors who separated them when I would have to imagine Dwayne and Bilal were about 13 at the time. So so it's their quest to take revenge. And along the way, they meet a lot of kooky people in the tenement hotel, and they follow Dwayne's romantic adventures.
Yeah, what year was this made?
82.
82.
Same year as E.T., so it was a big year for half-man-sized rubber characters.
Same year. I didn't.
Both,
That's great.
both excellent films, but a little different.
Just
Slightly.
a little.
But actually, kind of the same. It's funny. I watched Midnight Cowboy this week, and I talked about this earlier. And I bring that up because Times Square is prominent in both those films. And this is early. This is Times Square when Times Square was Times Square.
Yeah, this is
they had all the
42nd Street, Times Square.
42nd Street and all the, you know, and even the filmmaking. I have the behind the scenes video of this thing. And they were talking about guys were chasing them when they're doing that scene where he's carrying the basket down Times Square. That guys were coming out of porn houses, you know, yelling at the guy shooting and all that. So it was like legit Times Square. So I just thought I'd throw that out there.
I mean, one of the big aspects that I love about this movie is the guerrilla filmmaking.
Yeah.
There were no permits. They were just shooting this wherever they could. And I think, even though it's a little rough around the edges, I think it totally works for the movie and the plot. And just, I love the look of it. So.
Yeah, I mean, the plot's thin. The sets are thin. They, like you said, there's a scene where he pays for the hotel and he pulls out that wad of cash. And who's the director? What's the director's name?
Frank Henenlotter.
Mr. Kennelotter said that was the whole budget of the film that guy was carrying in his when he pulled that thing out of the scene. That was the budget of the film. And that whole hotel they built.
Ralph, it's Henenlotter. I know you like to make names your own, but it's Henenlotter.
What did I say? I said Henenlotter.
You said Kenenlotter. Like
it's Massachusetts.
Carmen,
That's
Carmen
what we
Diaz.
We butcher names. That's what we do.
You change consonants. I know. I get it.
They created that hotel. First of all, the whole hotel was like that area, the desk where the guy's behind the desk. That was a freight elevator that they made into that little office that he had. And
wow.
Even the hallway was all created. That was all created. That wasn't a hotel they went in, but the hallway was, they designed the whole thing for not a lot of money, as you said.
Yeah, it's very low, but it feels kind of punk to me. I mean, and bringing up punk, like for example, the lead actress, she was in a punk band, and she actually had her head shaved and was wearing a wig throughout the film. But it feels very like punk and anarchy just come together at this magical time, and it comes together in this movie, and I think it's really fun, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah,
it's not my.
I think that's the right word for it. It's really fun. It's just fun. It's a fun movie, and it's about horrifying things like siblings forced to be separated and seeking bloody revenge, and it's so fun. It's just really. I mean, I also have had this on my list for a long time. I don't know why I didn't see it, because I've seen the director's other movies. I especially like Brain Damage, but this was worth the wait. It was just a really good time.
Yeah, I don't know why it's funny when I do this all the time on the show. It's like, why didn't I watch this before? Why did I wait? What was it that scared me, or what was it that prevented me from watching it in the first place? Because, some of them I can understand, some of them, but this one seems so quaint and almost gentle. There's a gentleness to this thing that
I would say it's
kind of
quaint
funny.
until it's quaint until the end. It's not so quaint at the end.
Well, it's not quaint. They tear the doctor's face off in the very first scene, right? I mean, basically, he gets his face.
I mean, that's
torn
fun.
Yeah.
But and I really like the blood consistency they came up with this film. It's kind of darker, but the blood looks really good in this movie. So if you don't like the fake like Pepto-Bismol stage blood they use in like Giallo or any one of those genres, this is like good consistency blood that looks more real to me anyway.
And the director played the Bilal. Is that his name?
Yes, Bilal.
Bilal. So the director's hand was in the Bilal. He was Bilal the whole time.
Do you know what that name means?
I have not a
Bilal?
clue.
Do you know, Uncle Al?
I don't actually.
It's a Hebrew word, and it means worthless. So it's a character name that is more thoughtful than the evil doctors named things like Cutter and Needleman, which is funny. But that's I think part of why you could legitimately say something is quaint about this movie, not just because it's clearly an older homemade horror movie. I don't know. I mean, I believed the relationship between these brothers. I believed the history that they shared. I believed their aunt that loved them and raised them after they were separated and mutilated. When she looks at, because you have shots from the perspective of the mutant deformed baby that you see the aunt look at both of them, and she doesn't look at him any differently. She loves both of her nephews, and that's kind of surprisingly sweet that they were actually, had a human in their life that took care of them, because the whole thing is, their father hates them and that you killed my wife and all this other stuff. And they got raised by a human being. And it's weird because it could have just been like, monsters getting revenge, country boys in the city kind of stuff. And there's a little more to it, which is actually kind of nice.
Well, I think there's more to it too when it comes to, their relationship, Dwayne and Bilal's relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can tell that Dwayne loves his brother, but he also he is not deformed, so he wants to kind of go live off. He wants to finish Bilal's quest and potentially go live his own life. And fall in love with a lady and live his life. But Bilal, once his quest is finished, what is there for Bilal? He's still a monster that no one's going to accept. So I think there's that undercurrent there that's not necessarily.
Well, the quest was for revenge.
Okay.
And then Dwayne would be like, what Uncle Al, I think what you're saying is is that Dwayne would say, okay, we did it. Now I want to fall in love with a girl. I want to, live a life that's more normal, even though he really knows that's not possible. Like, he tries to hide from his brother when he takes Sharon and that terrible wig on a date to the Statue of Liberty, and he is found out. And his brother freaks out and destroys things and terrifies people and stuff because, he has a possible future and his brother really doesn't. And that's also kind of sad.
None of this is explicitly stated. It's just it's something that you can pick up on through as you watch the movie. It's never like just thrown in your face like this is what's actually happening. But certain chunks of dialogue and how they're acting, it seems that's what.
Well, they were connected telepathically, right?
Right.
Yeah, there's some
so
kind
when
of psychic
Dwayne's
bond.
down there at the Statue of Liberty kissing his girlfriend, the other guy, Bilal, starts freaking out. That's when he tears of course, he only left the TV. He puts the TV in front of the basket. Oh, it's just so... And when you hear the behind the scenes and trying to find the basket and some of the people that were acting in this thing, it's just... I always love the stories behind the stories of these kind of films. You're talking about guerrilla filmmaking. There's a scene where he runs through Times Square or fog naked.
Right.
And they shot that a block at a time. They just got a van, and it was cold. He had to run from one block to the other, jump in the van, do the next thing, and he's completely naked. And the actor's like, hey, whatever, let's go. I mean, the attitude that these guys, the actors do in these films is just amazing. And I guess the woman who played the hooker, was she a sex worker, that woman?
I don't
can't
think
quite
so.
do-
I
That's
think
how
she
I
was
read
just a
it.
neighbor.
Just a neighbor?
Her name's Casey in the movie.
Casey. She went on and did a bunch of films with that director, I think.
Yeah, I think they're good friends in real
What
life.
else has he done?
Brain Damage, Frankenhooker, which is another good one. He did do Basket Case 2 and 3, which I've only seen parts of Basket Case 2, and that the tone is vastly different.
He actually... Did he direct Basket
Basket Case
Case 2?
one.
I didn't think he did. He did?
I'm pretty sure he did.
I'm going to check that right now. On the old
It's
IMDb.
kind of
fact
a
check.
closed story with an ending, so I haven't seen the sequels. I'd be curious, but
They talked
there's
about
nothing
how
in it
they,
that naturally does it.
They talked about how they, squared that circle because he, supposedly died at the end of that one. I don't know, but
Right. There's nothing
But there's
supposed. I mean, that's what
there's
it
a
looked
lot
like.
more.
Yeah,
There are a lot more
that's what I mean.
monsters in 2 and 3.
Oh, so it expands the monster,
Yeah,
deformed
the
creature
Monsterverse,
world.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
the Monsterverse,
the Monsterverse.
Godzilla versus
great.
Bilal.
Yeah.
I would pay to see that.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, this is one of those movies that, making a movie at any scale is really, really hard. Sometimes the more money you have, the harder it is in different ways. But there are certain movies, and usually it's honestly people. Sometimes it's how they begin their career. Like this movie was willed into existence, clearly, and that's a compliment. Like Clerks was willed into existence by people who knew nothing about making movies and had no money. Eraserhead David Lynch, and the people that he was creating that movie with, they made that happen over years, and it kicked off an entire life in the film. And I love how creative it was. They're not afraid to show you the monster. They don't show you the monster in the first scene, but they're not afraid to show you the monster. Yeah. And what the creature is depending on the shot, it's a rubber arm, it's a hand in a rubber glove, it's a puppet, it's shockingly, I did not expect there to be stop motion, which was super entertaining.
Awesome, yeah,
and like the whole movie just kind of goes for it, and I dig that. I think that's really fun, and so to me that's. Like, I know people say things like punk and anarchist and, a lot of square people, they think that's bad, but it's an exuberance to it. And this movie is exuberant. And, I really dig that. Also, it's not the only movie that I enjoy that has conjoined twins in a challenging relationship. It reminded me of the movie The Bride with White Hair, a Hong Kong classic film from the same era as The Heroic Trio. And the villains in that movie are a brother-sister conjoined twins, and all the brother wants to do is have sex. And when he is trying to rape someone or have sex with them, his sister is essentially lying on his back, laughing at his impotence, and it's marvelous. It's marvelous.
Oh, we got to see that one.
That's definitely possible to show up.
Al, you've never seen that one?
I have not seen that one.
Oh wow! Holy cow! I thought for sure
it's a good time.
Yeah,
it's a good time.
Yeah. No, this, like I said, it was a pleasant. Again, I walk into these things thinking it's going to be, bloodfest or it's going to be horrible, and it's actually, it's the opposite. And then, it is nice to listen to the directors talk about everything they went through to make these films and the love that they had. And it's the only way to get through this. I don't know how you get through it. And it's such a nice thing to watch the end result of what these guys just, like you said, it spent a year putting this thing shooting this thing for a year, and everybody was on board.
And they talked a lot about they talked a lot about everybody pulling double duty. So Frank just wasn't the director; he was an actor. Well, he played Bilal, or they would do different crew duties, and they say that they didn't just have one sound man. It was just like whoever showed up and was on set, they could do sound. So it's very. It was a love of making film rather than just. It wasn't. This film isn't pure exploitation. Like, I don't think they just made it for the money.
Well, the only thing I read about was the scene where I'm sorry, what's the one with the wig? Her name, character. She played the receptionist. His girlfriend.
Sharon, right?
Who has that scene where she gets attacked by Bilal. And that's the one scene that I read about that the crew was very upset about. And if you watch it, it's fairly, it's graphic. It's not over the top. I mean, I shouldn't say that. It is over the top, but it's not just,
It's over the top without being graphic. Because they could have been way more graphic.
Sure.
And that. I think this... for me, like, when the first time I saw the scene, well, you start with Dwayne is running naked, and then he enters her apartment, and you see her asleep on her bed, and he starts like pawing at her naked breast, and it seems like he's dreaming, but in reality they cut, and it's actually Bilal is on top of her, I guess either getting ready to rape her or raping her, and then Dwayne eventually enters the apartment, and you see a lot of blood in her groin area and on her legs, and it's very bloody. But it's not. It did shock me when I saw that, but it's not as bad as like other things that I've seen where I would say, oh, that's like way over the top and.
Yeah, it could have been more
shocking.
gruesome.
Yeah,
it could have been more gruesome. I mean, Bilal kills Sharon. He murders her because he can't rape her. Like, that's pretty dark already. Yeah. But it's not. I don't know the way that it's done. Like you said, it's. I don't want to say it's tasteful, but it is creative with the change in perspective. That
Well,
you think you're
originally,
watching
I
one
think-
thing and then the other, and it's quite well done. And also the fact is, I watched that scene and I said, "Oh, Bilal is so frustrated that he can't live anything like a normal life with any kind of sex, that he's driven to rape, and then he can't do that, so he's driven to murder." No part of me said, "That's a puppet on a naked lady," and I give them credit for that. I believed what I was watching at that point. I believed the characters.
Yeah, you bought in at that. Now, I think that scene was designed originally for Bilal to run through New York City, and they couldn't afford the stop motion to make that happen.
Oh,
And that's
wow.
why they turned it into a dream sequence for Dwayne.
Yeah,
So
see, you make it
essentially, you were
happen.
seeing Bilal
Yeah.
through Dwayne's eyes is what was going on there.
I think that was like a super smart decision. I don't think it would. I don't think it would have worked as well if it was just
No, but
Bilal.
as Drew said, the stop motion in this thing was kind of cool. I mean, it was
fun.
when he's tearing up the room and he's all stop motion. That was pretty neat.
Look,
I mean,
it's the same as
it's definitely
Jaws. I mean,
archaic.
Jaws would not have been as good if you could see the shark the whole
True.
time, but the shark didn't work, so they had to make it different. So,
Yeah.
you write a movie, you plan everything. If you don't in pre-production, if you don't plan, in my opinion, everything that you possibly can, you're setting yourself up for trouble, but stuff is still going to happen.
Yeah.
And then you have to make a creative decision, a change, something on the fly. And these little movies can move a lot more quickly than Godzilla versus Kong or something.
Yeah.
And that's good because this movie can do it.
Al, do you know that this thing goes straight? Was this a straight midnight movie thing?
I don't. I know it didn't go to the ratings board. It was never rated, so I think it did go straight to midnight movies, and then it was eventually sold to another company who did an edit that removed all the comedy parts,
That's sad.
and it was all the comedy parts. So, and they released it, and it didn't really make any money. So, but eventually the uncut version was released.
So the one we watched, do you have any idea which version that was? I mean,
This is the true version.
okay.
Yeah, it's got funny in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wasn't bad. It was good. I don't know.
And it does
I mean,
have that thing that happens in a lot of movies that are shot in New York where there's that moment. It doesn't ruin it for me. I'm not saying it should be removed or anything, but you see the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take me out of the movie. It really doesn't, because you could go back. I mean, you can watch the French Connection car chase, and they're building it in the background of some of those shots. But it is, in some ways, it's almost like, oh yeah, that's in New York. It doesn't exist anymore the same way that Times Square is now Disney and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
yeah,
I
that's
think
what
it
I mean.
feels,
That's that.
it feels good to see that history.
Yeah, that. But yeah, well, no, it's hard not to see the Twin Towers and go, oh, that's right, those aren't there anymore. This is a time capsule basically. And I like you just said, I feel exactly the same way about Times Square when I see that stuff. Because Al and I were just there a couple years ago, and you walk through Times Square, and it just feels like a giant mall, just a mall
Yeah.
with.
All the lights will make your retinas detach.
Oh, I mean, I kind of miss that. Because I was there in probably the 80s, probably 82, 83, walking through Times Square and afraid to walk through Times Square, but still exhilarated by it. And the adrenaline was pretty high. It's pretty cool. So and that's why Midnight Cowboy did the same thing. When you look at old grimy New York, you're like, oh man, those are the good old days. But yeah, so
I just
Well,
want
this
to
is the
point
same
out
New York as Pelham and all that other stuff that we've
Right.
talked about.
the old New York connection to this movie. There's a scene where we didn't really talk about it, but Dwayne and Bilal murder their father in his basement with a giant saw blade contraption. But that basement was actually the entrance in the part of the Hellfire Club, which was a BDSM club in the meatpacking district in New York City. So they used that, and during the commentary, Frank Henenlotter said that all the props that were in those shots were there to cover up everything else that shouldn't be there. So he was saying that he was covering up glory holes and all this stuff in the club so he could shoot it and make it look like a basement. So I thought that was really funny and interesting.
wow.
That's funny. That's funny.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I don't know. I mean, there's not a lot. I mean, there's not a lot to dive in on this one. Let's dive in. What's the subtext? Okay, you got conjoined twins. Is there a subtext to this film? What's the subtext? Is it brotherly love? Is it patricide or matricide? What's the Al,
It's something that I personally believe, which is family is what you do, not what you are. And
Okay.
this movie looks at that both ways, because these boys are betrayed by their family and protected by their family, and work together and eventually doom each other. And I believe them. I believe them as brothers.
Yeah, it's so
You know,
it's
I mean,
interesting you say that, because you buy it. You buy it.
Yeah.
Even though one's eating hot dogs in a basket, chomping on hot dogs.
Well, talk about a great character intro. You haven't even seen him yet, and you get what's happening, and the monstrosity and the comedy all in one scene. It's just the noises. The noises are great. It must have been fun to do the Foley recording for this movie, because
I think
you've got
Dwayne,
great acting already, but
the actor was it Kevin Van Hettenrick, who played Dwayne? He did all the blow sounds.
Did
so that's
he?
all
Nice.
him, yeah.
well, he's very good, and he
Well,
should
he
have been
went on.
nominated
Did he do
for 2
both
Oscars.
sequels, or was he killed off in number 2?
I
have any idea?
want to say he's in the second one.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely in the second one, but I don't know if.
But they do have a cameo in Brain Damage. If you ever see that, there's a subway scene
Oh, right.
where they show up.
Is he
Where they
carrying the
walk
basket?
past the.
He is carrying the
Yeah.
basket.
I heard in the second
I
one they had a
suspect-
real hard time finding a new basket. Like that was a huge deal. Like they can't. How do we find this basket that was pretty iconic in this film?
Well, it's funny because I've never seen this movie, and I've heard about it for so many years. And you hear about certain movies, and you get a picture in your head. And for some reason, I always pictured a guy, not even that young, but just a guy running around New York with a basket. And I always pictured the basket under his arm was like one of those baskets from Raiders of the Lost Ark, but smaller, like that round I don't know why. If you asked me to draw a picture of what this movie was about, I would have drawn the basket that Marion ends up stuffed in that movie. And it was just funny. So the idea of watching him walk around New York City with this gigantic box, and how much more awkward that was and stuff. It was just great. It's just so funny.
Yeah. Well, good one. I don't know. What else you got to say about it, Al? You brought it.
Yeah, I know.
No pressure.
Yeah, I know. I think I've said all I've had to say.
That's it.
All I have
Basket
to say.
case is maybe that's true. We shouldn't listen. Like I said, there's no reason to find hidden meaning that isn't there. It is what it is, right? And I think everybody in this film, the director, when I was listening to his behind the scenes, he knew what he was doing. He knew
Right.
that it was what it is, and that's endearing. I love that. I just love that, and the fact that it's
Just like Psychos in Love.
right.
They don't have any money, but they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They have no pretension, but they want to do something specific. They want to do it well, and they pulled it off.
Yeah,
It's fun.
they really did.
It's endearing is the right word.
All right, Basket Case came out. You said 1982.
82. Yep.
So we see a little Times Square. You see the World Trade Center, and you see conjoined twins take on
Subways
the world.
with dirt on them and stuff.
Dirt, all kinds of stuff.
You get to see hair in the gate of the camera.
Yep.
You get to see
Oh, yeah.
all kinds of mistakes. Apparently, the actress that played Sharon hurt herself running down a set of stairs. So there's a scene where you can see her hobble into a doorway.
She gave it her all.
Well, the main actor, that scene where he's running through New York City naked. A week before he did that, he got a motorcycle accident, and he's actually limping in that scene. And then once you know that and you see him running, you can catch the limp. So again, guerrilla filmmaking. You do what you got to do.
Yep.
So it's awesome. All right. Now it's time for 2 movies, 4 words. We got Wet T-Shirt Teacher Savage, Tender
Oh man, I'm
Embrace,
excited about this.
Mortuary Slab. I'm gonna go with this one.
Wet T-Shirt Teacher Savage.
That's correct.
That is an excellent choice.
Thank you.
That is a movie that I think was originally shown in this country on HBO in the mid-'80s. It's called Fortress, not to be confused with the Christopher Lambert sci-fi movie Fortress and the 7 other movies that will come up if you Google the title Fortress. This is an Australian film starring Rachel Ward about a school, literally like a schoolhouse with a range of kids deep in the Australian outback. And they get abducted by a bunch of very bad men in Santa Claus masks. And everybody gets in a lot more trouble than they were expecting on both sides. And it is really intense and crazy and fun, and has a wet t-shirt scene in it that I think everyone will enjoy. So this is real
I
raw
don't believe
Australian filmmaking. No, it's
Funny
great.
you're saying that. That's interesting that you would not believe him. Rachel Ward, famous for being in Sharky's Machine with Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, she's a well-known
Played
actress.
Domino.
This
I think her name was
19
Domino in that one.
I think that was, Domino. I think this is, 86 is the date of this movie. I'll have to
Nice.
double check.
Okay.
But I think you will quite enjoy it.
Does it rival the wet t-shirt in The Deep?
It's just different.
Different. Okay.
It's different.
Oh, that's
what I mean.
And longer. Oh, no, you won't be 1313, I promise.
Okay.
I promise.
I'm a
There's
a lot of
no,
There's gotta be
PTSD.
something
I don't know
else
how
to
to take a
this.
shower. There's no, I don't know how to take a shower kind of thing.
Okay.
I've wanted you to pick this movie for a while, so I'm glad that you did.
All right. So it's called Fortress.
It's called
And
Fortress.
where can
Yep.
I find it?
And I'll
Can I
tell
stream
you.
it?
I'll tell you how to find it. I have to look up the best way to make it available for people to find it. It's the kind of thing. If they really had a deep library, it would probably be on HBO Max. Maybe one day they'll put a lot of their original movies on it. But
I
it's
didn't even think
available
about
other
that.
places.
That
I'll
could be
find it for
true.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
All right,
I don't
well,
think
I'll
it's
check
on there.
that
Don't
out.
go back that far.
Let me know how to find it, and then Al will figure
will.
out how to get you woven back into the show every couple of weeks to bring some of your classic stuff, and we'll see what happens. Sound good?
Excellent.
Sounds
yes.
good.
All right. You guys have a good week. Watch some
Thanks,
cults
guys.
or weird stuff. We're gonna, it's all kinds of stuff right now.
Or maybe join a
Movies
cult.
are
Who
strange.
knows?
I don't want to. I want movie cults. I think a movie cult is a lot better than regular cults. I think. I'm just gonna say.
Depends
certainly
on
healthier,
where
I
you
think.
are in the organization, I think.
Look at you.
That's not wrong.
Spoken like an expert. All right, guys. Have a great week, and I'll see Drew next week. Al, we'll see you in a couple weeks.
See you guys.
See ya.